On the Level podcast, your Masonic podcast. Join the hosts Billy McIntyre and Sam Earl Sedgey as they delve into the world of Freemasonry.
Welcome, brothers, sisters, friends, people of the world, to yet another episode of On the Level podcast. I'm your host, Sam Earl Sedgey, and with me is the man himself, the visionary of On the Level podcast, the man who brought this all together and dragging me along the road with him, Billy worshipful brother, Billy McIntyre. How are you, Billy?
I'm doing great, and we got a wonderful podcast coming up this time.
Oh, mate, we interviewed the Grand Bethel Queen, and dude, I'm still glowing. It's been now a month, and I just finished my festive board. The first festive board we had in Frank and Nickel, the quarterly festive board. My first stated meeting was great. My second stated meeting, I promised it will be shorter than the first one, and it was. And we've been getting so much practice, and the past masters are incredible. We have some incredible ritualists who are passionate to get the new officers who are new into Masonry in comparison to these past masters, ritual proficient. And for our second try and open and closing, to get it down and dusted in 15 minutes, the open and the close, that was slick. And I came I was like 2 or 3 minutes late because I had a family member who wasn't well and needed to be taken care of. And if it wasn't for that, I would have been there about 30 minutes early. So the fact that we're becoming more proficient thanks to help, our next practice for all new officers is learning and mastering how to open 1, 2, and 3, and how to close 1, 2, and 3. And what I mean by that is we open on the first degree, go up to the second degree, go up to the third degree, and then we close. And that's really good because that gives the brethren practice when we have to open on the first degree and the second degree. Third degree we've nailed down, and then it opens us to then learn specific parts of the ritual within the actual degree work. So the plan is it looks like we have a trajectory course of becoming very proficient and people mastering pieces of that ritual to a point where personally I want to be able to obligate all the degrees, and that's what I want to do. And I can do it. I've done ritual before in other orders where there's like 7 or 8, 10 pages long. So I can do it. It's just I need a lot of heads up, and I need like a couple of weeks to memorize these vast amounts of pages and all that kind of stuff. But no, Billy, it's been great. And I'm having the Christmas dinner on Thursday. And I've got to shout out to the team, Worshipful Brother Tom. These are all Worshipful Brothers. So Worshipful Brother Tom Robertson, Worshipful Brother Charles Robertson, Worshipful Brother Ryan Miner, Worshipful Brother George, our chaplain, Worshipful Brother Gary, who used to be the treasurer but is always there, a Worshipful Brother Cecil, who was a bit ill, so he couldn't attend. But when I saw it's really funny when you get into the lodge and you start to bond with these brothers and you become close, and then suddenly you sit down and you look around and you're like, "Where's Cecil?" And then you realize that if Cecil's not here, there's something obviously wrong with him because he's literally there.
Always there.
There. Not only just for stated meetings, but for the practices. It's his thing. And so it's like, as soon as we got to sickness and distress, which is one of the first things of order of business, I was like, before we start, where's Cecil? And he had a bit of a cold and he didn't turn up. And if you're hearing me, Cecil, Worshipful Brother, I hope to see you at the Christmas dinner. If not, hope to see you in February because we are going dark in January. And what we mean by going dark is the lodge is not open during that time. So yeah, dude, there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm very excited about. Frank and Nicole, and and also my brothers in St. Paul's Lodge. I want to say hello to St. Paul's Lodge 500. I miss them. They had a installation on our stated meeting that I'm gutted. And they have their stated meeting on the night where I'm having the Christmas dinner. So I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them again. because of the Christmas dinner. But that's the other lodge that I love going to, and I have such a great time when I see them. They're such good men, such good brothers, and they're pretty much tip of the spear. I see a lot of their posts on Facebook and on the Grand Lodge page, and they're
busy.
They're busy, and they're the tip of the spear brothers as well. And they're a lovely bunch of people. But yeah, man, I just wanted to give you guys around the world what I've been up to in the Masonic world. And it's a huge honor and a huge privilege to be the worshipful master of such a great lodge and such a great lodge of masters, proper masters, master masons, as we have in Frank and Nicole number
just back to St. Paul for a second. They honored me when I was Most Illustrious Grand Master of the Cryptic Council of Illinois last year.
I was there.
They invited the group up there to St. Paul's Lodge for one of the meetings, just to talk to them about the Cryptic Council and Yarkright in general. And what a great group of guys. The funny story is, and if anybody's on there from listening, the first time we drove up there, and we got there, and there was a lot of fire trucks. My brother and buddy that was in line with me is Herman Albers. He got up there, and I said, "Hey, they got a bunch of fire trucks here. Now they got a wonderful facility there, but we thought, well, maybe they're doing something for the kids or something, and having the kids look over the fire trucks and stuff. Well, that would have been really nice, but nope, there was a little bit of a fire in there, so they had to cancel the meeting." So
the kitchen burned down. The kitchen burned down.
Well, I had a little bit of a fire.
I kind of turned up like at 6:30, and I think you guys had already gone. And so what was really cool is that a lot of us were still there, and me being me, I'm like, right, we must go and feast anyway, to the festive board, gentlemen. And so the rest of us kind of like jumped into the home plate, had our own little room, and we did some toasting, and then we did some farewells. But just because it's really nice when you can get into a lodge personally, and you do all the work. And I don't get to see these. For me, Billy, I don't get to see my brothers all the time. And one of the greatest privileges you have is getting to know your brothers and bonding with them. And what a great way of doing that by having a festive board. Grand Lodge actually wrote a documentation. I think it's from the education department of the Grand Lodge. They posted it on the Grand Lodge Facebook page. They actually talk about the festive board as well. So if you are a brother of Illinois, do try and read that article about the festive board and try and implement it. Do it on a quarterly basis. And
it's fun.
And bring, and I hope it brings brothers who don't normally attend. And I'm making it a mission of myself to get to know all the brothers properly, even the ones that sometimes come for a couple of months. Some of them are like welders. And when they have their welding job, they're just busy nonstop for a couple of months, so we don't see them. And it was great to see Arnie, brother Arnie, and brother Noel, which was great. And it was great to get to know him because I kind of see him every year now and then. But what's really nice is when they do have time, they do come. It's just because the way the welding works, from my understanding, I've got a good friend who used to be a welder in Illinois, is you do sporadic. Go on.
What I'd like to go back to is back to the opening of lodges. I belong to 2 lodges, and I've been blessed enough that the brothers had enough confidence and elect me to be worshipful master of both of those lodges.
Oh, wow.
And that's in Red Bud and in Chester. In Chester, they always open on 1, 2, and 3. And in fact, one time we had so much business, I just told them, brothers, we're just going to open on 3, which for the brothers around the world, most of the time in Illinois, we just open on the 3rd degree, and then we close on the 3rd degree, but not in Chester, and some lodges do that. They open on 1, 2, and 3, then they just close, quick close on the 3rd. But, oh my gosh, I heard enough dissent on that. I'll never do it again. I just, oh my gosh, you broke all these years of tradition, and oh my gosh. But they've done it so much, and it's not about they're proficient because they've never done it any other way.
There you go.
And you heard, and it's like listening to a song on the radio. You don't even know you're learning it. and the next thing you know it because you've just heard it so many times over
Yes.
and over and over.
Well, that's the
And
reason why they did
shoot,
it.
we can open that lodge in 20 minutes, 1, 2, and 3, just because it just
Wow.
flows.
Bloody hell,
Yeah.
mate. That's freaking. Well, here's the thing, Billy. That's a very smart. Now, again, there will be dissent. A lot of lodges just open on the 3. But the benefits of doing 1, 2, and 3 is exactly what you said. You become so proficient. It becomes such a normal part of your stated meeting that when it comes to practice, the focus is really the meat of the ritual that you give to the candidate, because you've already done all that. You've already done 1, 2, and 3. And so I appreciate that. I think that's the idealistic way to do it. In terms of that is a goal for a lot of our lodges to emulate like that, and not a lot. Some lodges
But
not
the
ready.
problem with that is, Sam, just like these guys getting mad because I changed it. You try to change those guys opening on 3 to 1, 2, and 3, you'll have just as much a rebellion that way. I promise you.
Well, do you know what?
Because
Do you know what?
nobody
Do you know
will-
what? Do you know what? I think every lodge has its own character, has its own personality. I think they need to figure.
Right.
They need to figure out what's best for that particular lodge.
Right,
And
I agree.
and all we can hope, whether we're right or wrong, is that they come to the same, what you call it, conclusion that we have, and where 1, 2, and 3 is. I mean, look, we don't do it in Frank and Nicole. We do open on 3. But we might go towards and doing it to practice. And the only reason why is we won the officers competition last year, last Masonic year, and that was based on opening on 1, 2, and 3 and closing in our area. We were the area champions, and that's the highest championships they do in the opening and closing of 1, 2, and 3. So it may be, as we keep doing this every year, it may be worthwhile to suggest at least a couple of stated meetings leading up to the competition. Should we start practicing as well?
Well, no, I'm
doing
not
it?
trying to say that they're not flawless. That group's not flawless. And one of the things you
no
got to
one
watch
is, no
out
one
for, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because they do their best work. But I'm just telling you, it's like anything else. They get the words right. You got to watch. You constantly got to watch because people start trying to do shortcuts. They start. You know what I mean? They don't do the floor work quite right. You start seeing people. And I know, even the best ritualists, if they don't have their mind on it, they just start taking little shortcuts. And you do that same shortcut over and over, and all of a sudden that becomes ingrained in your head.
Oof,
So you got to
dangerous.
really, you know what I mean? It's the truth. Like if you're saying your ritual and you say that ritual wrong 2 or 3 times, it's so hard to break that habit. Because I thought I had
Absolutely.
ritual right one time, and I had a grand lecturer say, "You always say that wrong." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I go, oh no." He goes, "Well, get out the book." We looked at it and I go, "Oh my gosh!" And I had a whole sentence, I had it all backwards.
But you know what's
But
really cool, though, Billy, is
Yeah.
and again, I'm going to give caveats to Frank and Nicole Lodge 1170
Yeah.
to this, is every time I have messed up and I've missed a word or added, as an Englishman, I like to add words to speak proper English. But at the end, nowhere during the ritual, one of the worshipful brothers would come to me and have a quiet word and say, "Hey, Sam, great work. You missed this part or add this part." And then it's incumbent on someone like myself to remember the wisdom and the lesson I learned from that worshipful brother, and make sure next time you do it, you make sure you get it correct. And I'm doing it not only just for the rest of it, but for him, to show that I've listened and I've retained it and I'm able to produce the goods. And so as long as you have that kind of open mentality and you're willing to learn from your brethren, because we all teach each other something.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. If someone comes to me with good counsel, whispering that good counsel in my ear, I am more than willing to help learn what I despise, and I think you'll find that most people do. Don't call me out in the middle of a degree or something in front of a candidate because you're not going to get a good reception. And it's not just me.
Well, actually,
and-
that's actually not looked upon in good light.
No, it's not,
The rule
but
in
it
lodge
happens.
it happens. The rule in lodge is you do not correct a brother when they're actually initiating ritual. It's taking them back,
Oh,
and
I agree.
yeah, I
I'm
understand.
with you, but
And
that's
so,
not what always happens.
if you are passionate and you are very into the ritual, and you know it all, that's great. How about spending time with that person and saying, "Hey, I got some time to go through this part. You need some help? I'm here for you." There are really good ways. We'll come to practice, and sometimes, guys, I think we have to realize, don't put on too much. Sometimes maybe that person's not ready to do that specific part. You have to manage the brethren and make sure that they can commit and they can put the time in and the effort in and have that one-to-one conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even have that conversation, you just have the assumption. And then the person who comes kind of like lets you down, and not because the brethren, has done it deliberately. We are busy. We're all busy. We all sometimes do things last minute. We all sometimes put priorities in something else. But did you ever call that brother 2 weeks before? Hey, how's your ritual going on? Have you done something? Is there any help you need? Are you struggling at anything? Just gives that reminder. End of the week, text the guy, call the guy. Hey, how's your ritual coming on? Do you need any help? Are you cool? And that just gives them a reminder, like, oh, you know what? I better better spend some time learning my ritual.
And for the guys, right? And for the guys out here listening, you're talking to the two opposite specters. You have Sam here that's an excellent ritualist. Excellent. So when Sam says he gets corrected, Sam don't get corrected that much because Sam's a very good ritualist. Then you got Billy, not a good ritualist. Maybe I was, I like to say, I work in a maximum security mental health facility and I got punched in the head a lot. I like to say, I got a lot of my sense knocked out, but I don't think I had a lot to begin with. I'm just being truthful. So, I mean, I just don't retain like I used to. I don't know, age or whatever it is, but I just don't retain it like I used to.
Here's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it is like, that's the whole point of new brethren, new blood, getting them in position. But at the same time, Billy, someone like yourself, you're so important. You're part of the life of the. I mean, I've seen you in bigger positions as like you're now the past most illustrious Grand Master of Cryptic Masonry of the state of Illinois. The amount of people you pull and the people that just traveling to be at the places to support.
I'm very passionate, and I try.
Absolutely,
and I think that's what. I do try, and I keep trying. I'm learning a little bit more all the time, but I just don't have that grasp like Sam does. And I'm saying, Sam's humble with what he does. Sam's very good. But I'm putting this out here. It doesn't matter how fast you can learn. Just keep trying all the time. And if you can do a little part, do a little part. Just don't be the guy that sits on the side and says, I can't do anything, because there's always something you can do, brothers. You can always do something and make that a little bit better for the guy coming in. Because remember,
you always have a place in lodge.
If no one did anything when you come in, there wouldn't have been anybody do that degree. 100%. Make it special for them.
100%. And there are roles. There are roles for everyone, and everyone plays. Yeah. Everyone plays a very important part. And you're always going to need a quarterback. You're always going to need what we call in England in soccer a sweeper. You're always going to need all types. It takes a whole team to bring good ritual, to bring a good degree of work. You're going to need people who are going to do the fellowship and bring people together by the fellowship as well, who can run events. So we all got to use our strengths and try and over time work on our weaknesses, but understand that everyone brings something to the table, and how can we utilize that something, And
absolutely.
I'm with you 100%. And again, man, I'm just glowing, and I just want to thank everyone for listening to us. I mean, it's been an amazing journey, and we can't wait to do more. I think we're going to do one more podcast before the Christmas period. And
or maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. We get these wild hairs, and we just start, guys. And you are really, thank you, because the people out there has been subscribing. We see what you're doing. We see you've obviously been sharing and liking this, because we've really been getting a lot more people subscribing and sharing, and we've been getting out there, and we owe that to you. Like I said, we started this not to get anything out of it except to spread the word and, just have a good time with people. And I think that we're doing that. We have an awesome time. Me and Sam's having a ball. We hope that maybe you're getting something out of our message. Nothing else, laughing at a couple of guys having fun.
Absolutely. Anyway, any last words till we get to the interview with the Grand Bethel Queen?
Nothing more than that. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to another edition of On the Level podcast. I'm with my good friend and brother, Sam Earl Seji.
Hello.
Hello, Sam. I'm doing this backwards. Usually Sam does this. He kind of threw me out to the wolves here to see if I would sink. Looks like I'm sinking. But this is your good friend, Billy McIntyre. I'm on here with you. So we're going, without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest, which is Lauren Robinson. She's a grand honored Bethel Queen this year for 2025. And we are honored to have her here today. And we just had a few questions for her. How are you doing, Lauren?
I'm good. How are you doing tonight?
Wonderful. We'd like to start out by just asking you the simple question. How old were you when you got started with the Job's Daughters?
So, officially, I got initiated when I was 10, but I got involved, got kind of into the organization when I was 4-ish, and I have been an avid member ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, I know your parents is very active in masonry, and
Very.
yeah, it wasn't a far stretch to see that you would get thrown right into it. Okay, so with that, what would be your favorite part of the Job's Daughters? And I because you went all the way to the top, so there's something really you must have really liked about it.
I did go all the way to the top. So when I first started out, if you asked me that question, my answer would be, "Oh, the friendships I make, the people I see." But now, I looking back, it was always the fact that I was me, because I go anywhere in the Masonic world, and I was always Charles's daughter for the longest time, or Melody's daughter. But
Yeah,
now they are my parents.
right.
So
Everywhere I go, people told me how good a job you're doing. I didn't get to know you as quick as a lot of the other ones was because we're in a different area. You know, I'm from southern part and you're from the central. And I wasn't around the Job's Daughters in that area. You know, we had some down closer to me, but paths never crossed. But since I've been more involved with the, Grand Council, I always heard how, you're going to be the rising star. 5 years ago, I heard that. And, I got to know your dad and your mom, and you're good people, and you're a wonderful young lady, and I'm pleasure to get to know you. And I've seen you really got a lot of talent, and I was glad to see you rise through the ranks. Last year, you guys were good enough to come help us with some of our grand stuff. And Sam can vouch for this. We were all very impressed when you come did the cross for us. A lot of the people in that group had never seen you do that, and they were just blown away. I'd seen it a couple times before, and it is awful cool. It is.
oh yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, those guys have been just blown away. How long have they been doing that? I said, well, probably for as long as they've been around. I don't know.
We used to do it a lot more pre-COVID, and I've been trying to get us to do it more now. But yeah, we do love coming and forming the cross whenever we're invited to.
So my question is for listeners around the world and those who are not from our Masonic background, what exactly can you tell us about the cross? What is it? And for me, it's a beautiful ritual. But do you want to elaborate what you can on there, what the cross is?
So the cross is one of our 3 closing formations, and it's one of the ones that we do most often when we have enough girls to do it. But it is symbolic of the cross that Jesus was nailed to. There is a whole crosstalk where they talk about the placement of the girls. So when we have a full corps of officers, our honored queen is always going to be at the foot of the cross, not at the top. And our princesses are pretty much the arms caps of the cross.
Mhm.
Where and if you don't know what our princesses and the honored queen wear, we wear purple capes and crowns. And the royal purple of the capes is meant to symbolize the blood of Jesus running down, and the princesses are where his hands were nailed to the cross. The other big placement is the chaplain is right in the center of the cross, near the closest to the place where Jesus's heart would have been when he was hanging, and then the rest of the cross is made up of the rest of the corps of officers.
Oh wow! And then
That's awesome.
And what is the what is, if you can give us the mission statement? What is, in, as you've been part of this organization from child to now, and now you're an adult. What is Job's Daughters, for everyone to know? What is your mission statement? What is your purpose as an organization?
So our purpose is to create confident young women into confident leaders of tomorrow. One of our big campaigns, I suppose is the way I'll put it, has been Sisters, Leaders, Friends, which for Job's Daughters International. And, just building that confidence, teaching these girls how to run a meeting, how to put together fundraisers and prospect events, and everything under the sun that you kind of need in order to be a leader, and then executing these plans, not just the planning, but the execution. Well, of course, we have our adults to help us with budgeting and what's feasible and what's not, but ultimately, meetings are ran by the girls. We try to get every event ran by girls. Always get the girls' inputs. Those are the big things.
That is so awesome, because it prepares you for so many things in the future. When you got girls that's starting at 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean, you got started when you were 4, but I mean, how old you typically got to be before you can start being involved in Job's Daughters? Is it 7?
So you can be involved as we have a Jobies to Be program,
right,
which is for our younger girls. They can be involved as young as they can come,
right.
But that program, I know, is more for gaining connections early with the girls, actually getting in on the meetings and whatnot, and starting to develop these skills, whether it be public speaking or leadership, is 10 years old. Okay,
well then you think at 10 years old, and if everybody had that opportunity to start talking and learning at 10 years old, as opposed to going all the way through high school. You've been through high school yourself, and you realize that unfortunately our school system are not preparing kids like they used to. So these kids come out of high school unprepared, to say the least. They got this is teaching these kids a whole new, they're putting them way ahead, is all I'm trying to say. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, not in the way that we get prepared. Actually, I have heard from some of our adult volunteers that going into their own work meetings is a lot more interesting, because they don't necessarily know how to run a meeting using Robert and his rules.
Right.
So and then they come to our meetings and it's like a breath of fresh air because it's ran properly over the rules.
Because you get stuff done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, forgive me, because I guess I'm so used to talking to other Masons. So listeners, forgive me too, because I know some of you guys aren't Masons. So I should have got. So could you go back, and we should have done this at the beginning, but could you go back and tell people, what does Job's Daughters, what does that stand for? What does the name Job's Daughters stand for? Could you tell them? Because I should have done that to begin with.
So my normal spiel is Job's Daughters was founded in 1920 by Ethel T. Weed Mick over through the Book of Job, the 42nd chapter, 15th verse. In all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, that their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. So Job's daughters is based off of that Bible verse, but the entire, we learn our lessons through Job's story and his suffering.
Okay, and that's what I thought, and I knew that, but I thought it's not fair for us not to tell everybody, and then go through this without people knowing. So thank you very much for clearing that up for the people, because it was just like I said to begin with, I already dropped the ball to start with. So, okay, so let's go back to this. I'm very impressed with your work, and I've been very impressed with your work in particular from the beginning. So tell me what you're looking for in your sessions are probably what, half done, close to half done? Are you accomplishing what you're looking for?
We are halfway through our year.
Yeah.
Got through the sprint from Grand Session to Grand Lodge, which means I have talked a lot.
Oh, I know.
But that also means I've been able to spread my message that I've been wanting to spread this year, which is reconnecting the youth organizations and the Masonic organizations, because ever since COVID kind of hit, even a little bit before then, our Masonic bodies either don't necessarily know that we exist, or we're just not seen, and it's just so trying to get us to get invited out to help serve out or perform the cross, or anything else that we may be able to come out and do, or as
Right.
well as always inviting our Masonic family to our events, which is always the big thing. But the one I've been pushing is, we've always asked you to come to us, let us come to you.
That's awesome.
But I don't think Masons understand anymore. And Masons have a bad habit of blaming everything on the COVID. But the reason we do is everything changed so much from us in the after COVID, because before COVID, everything besides my Blue Lodge is basically based in Belleville area or Fairview Heights, Illinois area. So it was nothing for us to have a York Rite meeting with 12, 14 people in it. I mean, that was pretty common. Well, now we're down to 5, 6. I mean, it's terrible. And I mean, I have to call all around to get those 5 or 6 people there. And it's just, I don't know. Yes, some of them were older people, and they just don't travel like they used to. But some of them just got used to staying at home and never come back. And they just think,
I think also it's losing that connection. And what's really good in just a bit of backstory actually, because this is fascinating and it's great listening to Laurie here, and the Grand Queen. I love the fact that you got the Grand Queen every time. I see her, I'm like, my queen, and I always want to say, who do I kill? Whose head do I chop off? And I always have this kind of like imagination of,
he's British.
I would love to come.
Especially when
go on.
Especially when I'm in my full getup, in my crown, cape, and sash.
Hell yes! So I always want to turn up in a Knights Templar regalia, because I am a Knights Templar. I want to have my sword and like, my queen, who do I slay today? And what would be even better if there's like 10 of us dressed up as Knights Templar, and just the fanfare, the fun, because these things are supposed to be fun, escorting the ladies and doing their stuff. It just brings that kind of like magical experience. And I believe both me and Laurie and your father and mother, because I've seen you guys go to Renaissance Fair, you guys are a bit of cosplayers as well, which is really cool, and I'm into that as well. So just having a bit of fun, which is what it really is kind of cool. And what's really awesome is I've been to. I remember when you were you were installed, and it was epic. Was that when you got installed? Was that just your Bethel? Or, I think it was just your Bethel. You became queen, and it was insane. Basically, it was like a pirate theme, and everything was pirate themes. There was cannons and all sorts of things, and everyone was dressed up as pirate. And actually, myself and a few others were dressed up as Knights Templars, and because we are Knights Templars, we all know Knights Templar regalia, and we did escort. I believe yourself and some others as Knights Templars to the dais. I think wasn't that right? Did I do that? I think I did that.
My first installation as Honored Queen was up in Joliet, but I did have the Arch of Steel, and second one I didn't, but first one I did have the Arch of Steel, and yes, everyone was dressed to the nines in pirate gear, and all of those props that we had created, which is the same with my Grand Bethel installation. We made, Mom, Dad, and I, and my grandma had actually made those out of wood and PVC. And
They're really cool too.
Oh yeah, we spent like the 2 weeks before my first installation working just on the cannons and the railings and whatnot.
It was absolutely epic, and I was part of that Arch of Steel. I really enjoyed it, and what I really loved was afterwards. Obviously, there was the festivities, the feasting, and your dad. There was such attention to detail. There were these 2 barrels, and there was one drink called grog, which is my favorite drink that we had there, and there's another drink, and it was literally taps from the barrels coming in. It was awesome. It was a day that I will always remember very fondly. But these are the things that you can do, and what I really like as well is the connection you have with your father and mother, and the fact that it's also kind of like, you know, your family kind of like supports you and goes through it. And has that developed more bonds between you and your family, keeping, you know, the family, you know, having fun? You spent, like you said, you spent 2 weeks with your mum and dad and grandma doing all these fantastic bits and pieces, these thematic pieces, and bringing alive this kind of like pirate theme, which was really epic. What's that experience has been with your parents, basically, through you know, I would say the ages, but you're not that old. You're not old like me, you know. How's that experience been?
So at first, I wanted the organization to myself. I did not want my parents.
Sure you did, because you want to be your own person.
Yeah. I didn't want my parents involved at all, but especially after I had moved from Pekin to the Joliet area, and I started dual membering. Mom got involved and got her certified adult volunteer, and then not soon after, Dad did, and they're now in the Grand line for Job's Daughters. So next year, Dad will be Grand Poobah. He's currently Vice Associate Grand Guardian, and Mom will be Grand Guardian in 3 or 4 years, 3.5, I think now. So they've gotten really involved. It's definitely brought us together. We have something to do, and I had also in the past couple of years asked, and my grandma had said, okay, fine, I will get involved with Job's Daughters as well and help and help out the Bethel, which is what we really need. We do need the adult volunteers.
That's so awesome. And you know what's really nice? So
she hadn't been involved with the Job's Daughters before, correct?
Oh, go on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
she had never been involved before, correct?
Nope. The only way she had been involved is helping with the decorations of my installations.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Billy, this is...
Go ahead, Sam. I apologize.
No, not a problem, brother. This is pretty epic, and what's really nice is... so, just a disclosure, you know, Worshipful Brother Charles is part of Frank and Nicole Lodge. Your grandfather on your father's side, the illustrious, the venerable Tom Robertson is a worshipful brother of Frank and Nicole Lodge. Your uncles as well. So it's what for me. What's really heartwarming is seeing the family involvement, the family lineage, the Masonic connection. And yes, we've got to do more. There has to be a bit more of a connection. And it's just really that communication, I think, of actually inviting, when things are popping into my head, why don't we invite someone like yourself or other speakers, or even whatever works, whether it's yourself or, an adult guardian or whatever it is, to come to a lodge when they can in the local area and talk about what's going on. And so brothers like myself and others can come and support, or the other way around, you guys can come and help out, all that kind of stuff. And so, for example, one thing that crossed my mind for my installation, which you were there, by the way, fully dressed up in the regalia, which really made my day. That was really awesome. You guys came and represented, so thank you so much. Just stuff like that. And if I had more time of planning, I would have asked if you could have done the cross, but it was literally, I spoke to Worshipful Brother Charles, and it was just too late. It was like, for a couple of days, it just popped into my head. So it's really just having those communication lines, and having that discussion. And I think one of the challenges that we have, Laurie, is the modern day. The modern day has pulls us in so many different directions, and sometimes there's so many distractions that sometimes we fail to forget, what our priorities are. And sometimes there's a lot of doom scrolling on the, even the adults all do it, or watching the telly a little bit too longer, where they could actually be doing something that's worth their while and that will give them, a better whole response to themselves. So anyhow, I do have a question here. I'm just going through my experiences with Job's Daughters, and the kind of I've always seen you in events which have been pretty epic. And I remember, Billy, you ran a event last year, which was the Most Illustrious Grand Masters Festival. And I did a 2-hour lecture, and suddenly all these ladies, including Laurie, came and they did this cross, and it's a beautiful ritual, and it's just pretty amazing. And I would always say we always have these inflection points for those who are listening around the world. World War One was a huge inflection point for Masons, English Masons and European Masons. There was still the golden age in America in Masonry, and hence 1920, Job's Daughters happened and, really bloomed through that era. But then there was another inflection point, which was World War II, where a lot of Masons perished in that war. It was the biggest casualty rating until COVID. COVID killed more than World War II. Prior COVID, it was the World War II that had the most casualties. And so that's all had an effect. We've all known someone that we've lost through COVID. There was a 2.5 year, sometimes maybe a 3-year stagnation of people not going out and socializing and getting very comfortable sitting on the couch and doing couch stuff. And it just takes time to rebuild. And I always say, as Masons, we're rebuilding like the Second Temple. I think your mission, and future leaders like yourself, is rebuilding the Job's Daughters. And I think you're doing the right thing with reconnecting. What is your goal? Because obviously you're going through half your year. What is your goal within Job's Daughter? Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do beyond becoming Honored Queen? How are you going to be participating in the order? And if any family are listening now, so there's 2 questions. That's the first one, and the second question would be, why would you recommend Job's Daughters to lots of girls around in the USA or in the state of Illinois? So my first question is, what's your ambition beyond being the Honored Queen, the Grand Honored Queen? And what would you say to families and lady girls around the US in why they should join Job's Daughters?
So I'm guessing you're asking what's my ambition still inside of the order? Yeah,
I mean, what would you want to do? Like, for example, I'm Worshipful Master, and beyond that, Worshipful Master in my craft lodge, let's say, I want to continue to help support Ritual. I want to continue to be there and be involved in my craft lodge and help and direct and do whatever I can. And I like the ritual aspect of it a lot. So I want to be there and help as much as I can. And I like the fellowship aspect. So I want to continue these festive boards that I've introduced, the quarterly festive boards, if I can, beyond and support the next person coming in. So that's kind of like my ambition, of what I'm excited about next year, of what I want to do. So that's where I'm coming from on that end.
So one of my biggest things is, as I've stated, reconnecting to our Masonic bodies, whether that be Job's Daughters reconnecting with the other youth groups, DeMoe and Rainbow, or reconnecting to our the adult Masonic bodies, Eastern Star, Amaranth, Grand Lodge, the Yorkite bodies, Shriners, all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
That's been one of my big things. That's been the thing I've been talking about the most. If you've heard me speak at any of the conferences in the past few months, or I have went and spoke at some lodges or anything of the sort, as well as a few Scottish Rite reunions.
Right.
Inside of the organization, my big, every year the one of the biggest things is membership. Our membership in Job's Daughters is declining. It has been declining since COVID. I mean, it's been declining, I think, since pre-COVID, but again, COVID has made it really difficult to find ways to motivate girls to join and to come out to stuff and get involved. But the other thing that I have been wanting to focus on is retention, because we can get all these members in, but if we can't keep them, why are we getting them in?
Spot on. You know what? You just touched on something that in all organizations, whether it's Job's Daughters, whether it's the Masonic lodges, whether it's the appending bodies, whether it's something that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, the key thing, and then you actually, I think, scored it, is retention. It's all great and good bringing people in, but just expecting them to sit around and do nothing, or, hey, you're in, good job.
You gotta make whatever you have valuable enough to keep them there. Absolutely.
And in this day and age where, as I said, there's so much distraction, the key strength that you have, your organization, even myself, is the fellowship. So it's about working out what is the key thing. In my head, I'm English, so I always go the English route, is the festive boards that we do on a quarterly basis, or getting together and doing something that everyone has fun in doing and motivate them, because that's what motivates them to come to the lodge and learn and practice and build those bonds of brotherhood and fellowship. So I think the challenges that you will have is what bonds the sisterhood really well, and you've been there, what does really well, and stick at a couple of those things. But you are right, retention is huge. And the other thing, you want quality over quantity as well, but I think that's key. And if you can figure that out with, the powers that be over there, and keep the plan simple but effective, I think it's gonna go well. But it's really interesting to see an upcoming. You are a leader, but you're still very young. You've got a whole life ahead of you, and you have a mission. You've identified that there needs to be a reconnection with the Masonic Order, more so awareness that you guys are around, and there's a lot that both the fraternity and this sorority can do together, and build each other in a lot of ways. I mean, how cool would it be? I mean, if someone wants to do a festive dinner in their lodge, many hands help. And sometimes a lot of the burnouts in the olden days, when they would make food in the lodge in some places, the burnout was always the same 2 or 3 people, serving the food, right, cleaning up, doing all that kind of stuff. And if they had known there was help there and to connect, then there'll be more relationship, there'll be more fundraisings for, the Job's Daughters on behalf of that lodge. So anyhow, I know I'm going off on one as I usually do, but I think there's so much. I think there's so much potential that you can bring under your leadership, and that you have done because you've connected the right dots and you've got the right action plans. So I want to wish you on my behalf all the success. I know you're on a mission. You're like on a crusade, no pun intended. But
Well, don't tell her goodnight yet. I got a couple more questions. Don't let her off easy. Wait a second. Calm down.
I was about to say, Billy. Any more questions, my brother?
I love you, buddy. I do. Anyway, so we're back. So I got one that I hope I don't put you on the spot with this, but you've really answered everything so good. So here we are. I don't know why. I guess I have one of those faces that people ask me questions, and so some people, we've had Job's Daughters on before, so it's got out that you guys have changed your ritual pretty significantly here lately. Is this correct or incorrect?
So,
well, if it's true, the reason they're asking, why would you do that after all these years? And that's the whole question. So if you could just spot on that a little bit, so the people listening, they said they was going to listen, and I was supposed to ask that question.
So I'm so happy to be asked because I was involved in changing the ritual.
Okay.
About 2 years ago now, at our Supreme session, we did have our ritual change, and it was also the first year that we were able to have daughter voting delegates in our Supreme Guardian Council meetings, which never seen before. It was brand new, and it came at a great time because us girls could speak on the ritual changes and tell the adults, hey, we don't like this, or like as a whole we do like this change. A lot of girls, of course, are not big fans of the changes just because they are so vast, and we did change quite a bit. But the biggest reason why we changed it is because we are wanting to be more inclusive with our ritual, with our ceremonies, and try to also get away from the cult allegations. But our old ritual was used for 30 had been used the same thing had been used for like 30 years, and it was heavily Christian based, which excluded many other religions that we could theoretically have girls joining. It excluded Judaism and Muslims and Buddhists and all those religions. So instead of excluding these possible members, we changed the ritual up, changed the wording, and worked to make it more inclusive. The other things is one of our big changes was we used to have a mothers, fathers, and guardians prayer, which has now changed to a parents and guardians prayer, which, for those who maybe don't have a mother and father, who maybe have two moms or two dads, or they are in the foster system or adopted or anything else. That was one of the big changes. Again, trying to get away from the cult allegations. We kind of changed the name of the book, the ritual. It has, unfortunately, even though it's a manual for how we run our meetings, it does have a connotation. So yes, it is still called a ritual, but when you're describing it, it also has on there the Joby Handbook.
Right.
We got rid of the word initiation. Instead, it is now a membership ceremony.
Okay.
And the other big thing was, especially within our membership ceremony, many of the girls didn't necessarily understand the the story that was being told or the significance behind it. So a lot of it, it didn't get necessarily dumbed down, but it got changed to in a way that gives a clearer visual story.
The story of Job's daughters, you mean? The Job's
So,
and his.
In our,
I mean, you can't tell anything that's going to give anything
right,
away. I'm not trying to get you to do that. I'm
but
just trying to the basic story of your group. Is that what you mean?
the story that is told by our 5 messengers.
Okay. That's.
So,
I mean, I'm not trying to get you to give anything away. Don't.
oh yeah, we
I'm
didn't
just-
we didn't change the we changed the words, not the meaning. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that ought to explain what that people was asking, and so had you on there, and thank you for explaining it so people would understand. I appreciate it. Okay. With that, was there anything you would like to say that while you got the people listening? We've been getting several thousand people listening, so now's your chance to get your message out if we haven't asked you the right questions.
So, like I have said, please, if you're listening and you don't necessarily know if there is a local Bethel assembly or chapter, because I'm an advocate to get out to all the youth groups because we all need help. But if there's one near you, please reach out and see what they can do for you as well as what you can do for them. Another big thing is one thing I like to talk about is our philanthropic charity. Job's Daughters is heavily we have our own philanthropic charity. It is called HIKE, or the Hearing Improvement Kids Endowment. We give grants to families with children who have any sort of hearing disability, whether it be partial or full. We give them grants so they can get hearing aids or cochlear implants or anything else that they may need in order to live their lives to the fullest. And we always love getting to be able to give out these grants. So please, if you are thinking about donating, please donate or to your local chapters.
And how would somebody that needed help get a hold of somebody? If someone needed help with hearing, I mean, can anybody get a hold of?
Through our HIKE board. It's
okay on the Facebook page or web page
on the website.
Okay.
I know you can get to HIKE through the Job's Daughters International website and get and contact there. But yes, please reach out if you do need help.
Thank you so very much for your time. We know you've been running around. I'm from the country, so I'd say running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Sam is a lot more dignified. He grew up with his pinky up, and I didn't. He had a silver spoon, and I had a wooden spoon. I really was poor. So that's what you have. So I say Godspeed. And Sam, would you have anything else to say?
You have me sword, Grand Queen. All right, it was an absolute pleasure. My last question, very quick. Can we have you back on sometime next year?
Of course, I will be happy to when I am out of office.
And
we will have our new Grand Bethel Honor Queen pending election coming up in June at our grand session, Casper.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to On the Level Podcast, your Masonic podcast. When you are ready, duly and truly prepared, you can always knock on the door.